Баярлалаа эрхэм бүтээгчдээ эрхэм сигнал өгдөгчдөө ингээд Монголын халаал хөгжлийн холбооноос саналчлан Монголын үндэсний худалдаа аж үйлдвэрийн танхимтай хамтран зохион байгуулж буй халаал бизнес форумын үйл ажиллагаанд нээлттэнд оролцож үг хэлсэн эрх мэддийн ажил хөтөлбөрийн өндөр амжилтыг хүсэн ирэж байна. Олон улсын халаал стандартын туршлагыг Монголд нэвтрүүлэх нэгэн зорилгоор нэгдэж буй та бүхний ажил хүссэн өндөр амжилтыг хүсэж өнөөдрийн энэхүү форумын үндсэн илтгэлүүдийн цагийг эхлэхэд бэлэн болж байна.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We now proceed to invite our keynote speakers. And we start with Mr. Mohammed Zen. He's Head of Administration of Halal Product Assurance Organizing Agency from Indonesia.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Firstly, please I introduce myself. I am Mohammed Zen from Indonesia. So you can call me Zen. I am from Indonesian Halal Authority. So it is very proud for me to come here to visit Mongolia with our friend Mr. Abjad and Mr. Afdal. So I hope the short presentation is very important for you to know about the halal potential industry in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see to the picture. Do you know who is the guy? This is the President of Indonesia, Mr. Joko Widodo. He is the current President of Indonesia, and he is very care about the halal industry in Indonesia. He said that Indonesia will be the largest producer halal in the world in 2024. So he said this in the momentum of G20 because the last year Indonesia, the presidency of G20. So, ladies and gentlemen, in Indonesia, halal is responsible by the government. You can imagine Indonesia have more than 200 million people compared to Mongolia. How much the population of Mongolia? I think only 4 million people. But Indonesian population more than 200 million people. Let we imagine if one people need one bottle of halal, if one people need one bottle of mineral water halal, it means that every day we need more than 200 million bottles. It is very huge number of business. So, in Indonesia, if we are talking about halal, this is an Arabic letter. Arabic letter, it means halal. Halal is universal term. So if we are talking about halal, it's not just only for a Muslim, but halal is universal. Halal is something universal for all. Halal is for humanity, because halal is referred to safety. So it means that all consumed, it must be safety, not contain the danger. And halal also health, also cleanliness, wellness, sustainability. I think this is the global issues, and integrity and also prosperity. So ladies and gentlemen, if we are talking about halal, not just only for food and beverage. Let's see to me why I'm wearing this. This is very Indonesian style. This is in Indonesia, namely kopiah. In Indonesia, most people like me using this. So why I'm not wearing jacket like another speakers? I'm using this because this is the Indonesian clothing traditional. So what we are wearing, it must be also halal. So halal not only food and beverage, but also what we are wearing, it must be also halal. Mean the halal is not something danger in our clothes and so on and so on. So halal is humanity. So in Indonesia, halal become Indonesian regulation. We have so many regulations in Indonesia to regulate the halal assurance. This is the some regulation, as I mentioned to you, that we have the government regulation. The government regulation number 39, year 2021. It is regulate how to implementing halal assurance in Indonesia. And we have also law number 33, 2014. This is very important law. Because in this law, state very declare that produce, enter, circulate, and trade in Indonesia must be halal certified. It is state declared in this law, law number 33, 2024. Another regulation, we have also law number 6, 2023. It is about the job creation. So we are talking about halal, also talking about the job. And another regulation is regulation of the Ministry of Religious Affairs. As I mentioned before, that in Indonesia halal is obligate. Halal is responsible by the government. So the Ministry of Religious Affairs is responsible to implementing halal assurance in Indonesia. So they are issuing the regulation of the Ministry of Religious Affairs number 2, 2022. It is regulate the international cooperation. So if from the Mongolia will make cooperation with us, it is regulated in this regulation. The next regulation is Decree of the Minister of Religious Affairs number 748, 2021. In this regulation, we make the explanation what kind of product must be halal, what kind of product must be halal certified and enter, trade and circulate in Indonesia. It will be very clear in this regulation. I can give you the copy, of course. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the last regulation, the Ministerial Regulation number 1360, year 2021. This is contained about the positive list. So it means not all the product must be halal certified, because the product from the sea, for example, like fish, it is halal originally. So it is not no need to halal certify. Fish is halal originally. So we mentioned all the positives in this regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We have 4 paradigm shift in implementing halal. The first paradigm, we see halal from the philosophical and sociological perspective. As I mentioned earlier, the halal is the ethic from Islam and implementing to be a regulation in Indonesia. And the second paradigm is we see halal from the juridical perspective. As I mentioned before, all the Islamic ethic regulate to be a regulation in Indonesia regulation. And the third, we see halal from the digital transformation. So that's why we try to develop cooperation with my brother, Mr. Keith, to make the halal assurance in Indonesia based on the digital transformation. Hello, Mr. Keith, how are you? And the last, we see halal from the economic perspective. As I mentioned earlier, that in Indonesia we have so huge number population. More than 200 million Muslim population in Indonesia every day need halal consumption. So it is about economic perspective. How if we are talking globally, how many Muslim population in the world? It's around 2.2 billion people. Can you imagine how the huge number of economic perspective in halal industry? Ladies and gentlemen, if we are talking about halal, please, halal not about the barrier. Halal is not barrier. Because halal is opportunity. As I mentioned earlier there, so many people in the world need halal pursuit. Again, in Indonesia, we have more than 200 million people. If every year they need 1 kilogram meat, can you imagine how bigger the number of meat Indonesia need? I think it is the opportunity. It is not about the barrier. So, if we can hand in hand, we can go together how to produce, how to provide halal for people in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the phasing period of halal obligation certified. So, as you can see here, that in Indonesia, the obligation to be halal certified is already starting since 2019. And it will be obligated by 2024. So now we are still in the phasing period. So for now, every product can enter freely to Indonesia. But after October 17, every product who enter, circulate, and trade in Indonesia must be halal certified. It is for food and beverage. This is the first phasing period for food and beverage. And for another product, for non-food and beverage, it is the different time until 2026. So, for example, for medical devices, for example, maybe grade A, grade B, grade C, and grade D, it will be obligate until 2034. So we still have enough time to prepare many things. But for food and beverage, like meat, it must be starting on October 2024. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is, as I mentioned before, that in Indonesia, we try to apply halal assurance by digital regulation and transformation. So, if you want to apply how to get halal certification in Indonesia, you can apply online. You can apply online. We have the halal platform, namely Si Halal. You can write in the Google Si Halal, and you can find how to apply the halal certification in Indonesia. So this is the certification. Now, in Indonesia, the certification, we don't have expiration date. We don't have expiration date for certification in Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned before about the regulation, this is so many regulation. We already notified to WTO. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's very, so many regulations we already notified to WTO. So I mean that all the Indonesian regulation about halal, the world already know, because we notified through the WTO. So how halal not to be a barrier? Our homework now, how to provide global halal standard. So now Indonesia and Mongolia must be sitting together to provide the global halal standard. So if we have already the global halal standard, no any trade anymore. The trade halal between countries to country, it will be very easy. This is the Indonesian halal logo, like this. So if you find like this is the Indonesian halal logo. Until now, more than 107 halal certification agency from around the world apply to us. More than 100 apply to us to have a recognition. But I cannot see, I cannot find from Mongolia. A few weeks ago, I visited to Japan to audit, to assessment to Japan halal certification bodies. And it is part of more than 100 halal certification to apply for us to have recognition from Indonesian Halal Authority. So as I mentioned before, that if you want to apply how to get recognized from Indonesia, you can log in this platform. and you can access this from around the world as long as you have the internet connection. This is halal. And again, in Indonesia, halal must be traceable. Traceable means that, let I give an example. If we are meeting the meat, it must be halal from farm until fork. It must be halal from the farm until the table. It means the traceability. And another halal is must be trusted, because halal is about the integrity. Another thing, halal transparent. It must be transparent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in fight for MHDA member. As you know, Mongolia is one of the Asia Pacific nation. We can work together to ensure halal product manufacture and certifying accordance with uniform standard. It will be increase customer trust, and it will be easy acceptance of halal product within country if we have a global halal standard. A few minutes ago, before I stand in here, I'm attending the interview with the Australia. They invite me to attending the training how to make a global halal standard. Please pray for me. I am passed in the interview. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my presentation. So if we are talking about halal, halal is about justice. And halal is about accountability and transparency. Halal is effectivity, and halal is efficiency. And the most important thing, halal is protection. Protection our body, protection our life. That's all about the halal. So halal is not about the religion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zen.